After I left school, I always knew that I wanted to go to university to get my degree, but it seemed like everything that I was doing to try and complete my degree, it seemed like everything was going wrong. My life felt like it was upside down. There were so many problems coming from left, right and center. I had a child to take care of. Then when all the problems of taking care of my son, being a single parent came along, it seemed impossible for me to achieve that dream that I always wanted. After I found my faith in God, then I started to put everything that I had learned into practice. And once I had done that, then I was able to use all those tools for me to achieve my dream that seemed so impossible for me to achieve. Now I'm a graduate and reaching for my dreams.
Hello, a very good evening. Welcome to Finding Answers. Tonight we're talking about new beginnings, starting again, afresh, from right from the beginning and erasing all the bad experiences you've had in the past. Here's a video that talks more about this subject.
New beginnings are often exciting yet terrifying, as no one really knows what the future holds. Unlimited possibilities lie behind the door to your new beginning. Successes and failures, ups and downs, and even some smiles and frowns. The past is often easier to think about and to even control, as it cannot change and there are no surprises. However, the present seems mysterious and uncontrollable. Thinking about changes in our lives and then implementing those changes is a process that doesn't have to be relegated to January the 1st. One psychologist has identified 4 types of new beginnings. The I can't wait beginning. This is often the start of a voluntary start of a new phase of life. For example, when we start our new job, get married, or buy an amazing new piece of technology. The I know I have to beginning. This is where we try to avoid its arrival, like when our children go off to university or when the doctor tells you it's time to lose some weight. The please don't make me do this beginning. This type of change is difficult because someone or something else has initiated the change, such as going through a divorce or losing our jobs. The where do I start beginning. This is when the bottom of your world has dropped out unexpectedly. This might be brought about by disaster, illness, or death. So, depending on the type of new beginning, this will depend on how you'll feel. This could be anticipation or severe stress. Identifying your emotions is the first step to managing your reaction to a new beginning. You will always need to reorganize your life and even mourn your loss. However, new beginnings can always bring a fresh start, and with patience can even end up being the happiest.
Welcome back. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes you start working on something and it seems like a good idea at that moment. It seems like a great idea to be doing what you're doing. And then you feel more or less like this. I have Victoria here with me. Good evening, Victoria.
Good evening.
Can I borrow your pen for a second?
Absolutely.
So you feel more or less like this. You start working on whatever you're working and you start writing, right? But then you see that it's not what you really wanted to do. And usually if you're writing on a notepad, and no matter how many computers or phones or tablets I have, I always have my iPad, my notepad in the office. And if you start writing something and it's not what you really wanted to do, it's easy because you only need to do this. You take the page out, smash it in your hands, and you just get rid of it. And you start again. It's as simple as that. Wouldn't it be great if you could do that with your life? Not your whole life. Perhaps there's an area of your life that you feel like doing this. And I think a lot of people sometimes stop and think, what if I could rewrite my past? What if I could change things? What if I could start again? I think a lot of people think about this. Do you agree with me, Victoria?
I think so, although it's very important to remember that we do learn from our mistakes. So people might have regrets that they just want to erase, but truly learning from things that you think you should have done better is a very valuable lesson.
Yes, and it's very important for the person not to dwell on the past, to learn from the mistakes, but that's the only thing that our past is good for, is for you to learn from things that you've lived through, mistakes you've made. Because remember, we are not museums. Museums live off the past. You're not a museum. You don't live off your past. Even of your past glories, if you've had great achievements in your past, that does not put bread on the table today. You need new achievements. And that's where new beginnings come in. And I think that's why it's important for people to remember that they cannot live in the past, whether it's on past failures or past successes.
Yeah, you do sometimes just need to draw a line under things that you've done previously and say, okay, let's move on, because dwelling on things and having quite severe regrets can actually affect you quite badly. They can make you ill. So you do need to move forward and, yeah, think of the positives and learn from them.
And people have to be careful, Victoria, because a lot of people live with this wishful thinking. What if I hadn't done this? What if I hadn't made this mistake? What if I hadn't, quit that job, quit that relationship? Now, if you did that, you did it, right? Let it go. You're never going to, start again. You're never going to have a new chapter if you keep on dwelling on the past. It's important that if you've made a mistake, to say, look, I can't change this. That's always going to be part of my life. And actually, sometimes mistakes are a great thing, because in the future, you can tell people the experiences you had and you can help them with their experiences. Think about it. How many people have been to prison and they regret the fact that they went to prison? But today, because they are rehabilitated, they can go to other youths and other people who are currently in the situation they were in, and they can say, listen, I've been there, I know what it's like, and you can move on from where you are. And that's a very powerful thing. Experience can truly help others because you've been there.
Yeah, it's called experiential learning. So it means that if you are doing something, you're more likely to retain that information than if you were just told about it. So if you do experience ups and also downs, you're more likely to remember those things and learn from them in the future. But it is worthwhile teaching other people about your mistakes so that they don't have to make them themselves.
Yes, and here's the thing. Perhaps you say, James, I've messed up big time in my past. I've done things that I'm not proud of. Perhaps you've done things today that you're not proud of. Perhaps you've done things that no one in your life knows about. Perhaps you need a new beginning because you've had this succession of bad luck again and again. Things just keep going wrong for you. Maybe you're not the kind of person that keeps making mistakes purposely, but bad things just happen to you. Perhaps for no reason. Maybe you don't know why these things keep happening to you. Maybe you need a new beginning because, nobody's given you a break. Whatever the reason, if you need a new beginning because you need forgiveness, because you need a break, a clean break, you want to start afresh. If you want to put a rock on top of the things you've lived through, the bad experiences you've had, and start again. If you want to do what I did with that sheet of paper that I had in my hand a few moments ago, you want to get rid of it and you want to start afresh, a clean slate, turn over a new leaf, then God can be this opportunity for you to do this. Do you know something amazing about our God? Is that no matter how much you've messed up, He always gives you an opportunity. Do you remember? You probably heard this story when a woman was brought to Jesus and she had been caught in adultery. And when she was brought to Him, the Word of God says that Jesus was writing on the sand. And it's widely believed that that is a metaphor, because when you write something on the sand, it's quickly erased by the wind, by the rain. It's not like writing something on a rock that stays there for centuries, sometimes for thousands of years. And our God, that's what He does with our mistakes when we mess up. He writes them on the sand because tomorrow they're not going to be there anymore if you want to start again. So all you need to know is that if you want to start again, you have an opportunity to start again free from your problems, free from whatever you've been going through, from your mistakes. If you want help to do that, you want someone to pray for you, perhaps for forgiveness, perhaps because things have been going wrong and you want to start afresh, whatever it is that you need, our team that is ready right now can help you. In fact, I have today a larger team with us than what we usually do. Usually we have 2 pastors standing by on the phone, and we do have them there, and we have another 2 pastors here in the studio sitting behind the camera. Can we get this camera on the pastors that are sitting there, please? We have Pastor Abraham and Pastor David. They weren't expecting to be on the camera just now, but here they are. If you can get a wave, Pastor David and Pastor Abraham, thank you for being here. If you want to speak to one of them, Pastor David is one of the pastors from our churches here in London. Pastor Abraham as well. Pastor Abraham will be with us live here later on. But if you want to speak to one of them, you can also ask, look, I want to speak to the pastor, Pastor David, who's in East London. Pastor Abraham is in North London. If you are near one of these locations, you can ask to speak to them tonight, and it'll be a pleasure. We're going to go into a short break. If you are in need of new beginnings, tonight is for you. The number to call is 020-7686-6300. That's 020-7686-6300 or help@findinganswers.tv. If you're on Twitter or Facebook, this is how you can get in contact with us, Victoria.
So if you'd like to contact us via Twitter, then send us a tweet. Just start your tweets with @FindAnswersTV, or just search for us on Facebook. Just look for Finding Answers.
We're going to go into a short break and we'll be right back.
This is your UCKG timetable. We are open 7 days a week, helping you to make a new beginning. Mondays, a meeting focused on achieving more in your financial life. Tuesdays, prayers for healing. Wednesdays, a meeting teaching you to develop in your spiritual life. Thursdays, a special prayer for the family. Friday, a service for your spiritual deliverance. Saturdays, Find the One, a service specifically tailored for your love life. Sundays, Reconnect with God, the main meeting for your spiritual strength.
Hello and welcome back to Finding Answers. So tonight we are talking about new beginnings. Now, new beginnings can be a bit stressful because you're not sure what's coming. It can be very daunting, but actually they can be a time of immense positivity. You can make changes in your life that you never really thought you would have the opportunity to do so. There are, like we saw earlier in the video, there are different types of new beginnings, from beginnings that you have decided to make yourself to ones that are forced upon you. But do remember that you can make very positive steps in your life during these times.
Absolutely. And let's go for a video that we prepared to illustrate this topic furthermore, and we'll be back to meet our guest here tonight. Now imagine someone who lost everything. Imagine someone who was doing well, and then all of a sudden, remember the recession, remember when it started, I think even prior to the recession, there was one of the banks that went, I'm not going to mention the name, that went under, and because of that, she lost everything. She was going up, all of a sudden her life crashed down. but she made a new beginning. You're going to hear her amazing story in a moment, but first have a look at this video. Welcome back. I want you to meet now Asha, who's in the studio with me and who'll be sharing her amazing story with you. Let's go and meet her now.
It's pushed me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
So let's go and talk to Asha. Good evening, Asha. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Your story is very peculiar because from a young age, we can say, you achieved quite a bit, quite a lot, right?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, it all came crashing down. Tell us about, your rise and then your fall.
Well, I've always had good jobs from when I was young. I started off as a recruitment consultant. That was my profession. And within the company, I progressed. I always progressed within the company, so I was doing well. I lived in fantastic areas. I knew affluent people in society, so I was always in the best places with the right people at the right time, living a good life, enjoying life, partying, living in a fantastic area.
But your life was a two-edged sword because with all that success, you also had a lot of family problems.
A lot.
What was going on in your family?
I think all that success was to hide what happened in the past.
To compensate.
That I was still carrying with me. I was physically abused by a close family member when I was young for quite a few years. And because of that, because of being in that environment, I had two younger siblings also, two sisters. I started growing very resentful. I started growing angry inside of me because I saw all this going on, but to me.
Right, and just for people at home to understand, I'm not going to ask you to go over the abuse, but it was something that was ongoing for quite some time, and it was something horrific. You actually spoke about this some time ago on this program. We're not going to go into that tonight, but of course all abuse is bad. But hearing your story when you spoke about it last time, it was very graphic. And I'm not going to ask you to go into it today, but for you who are watching at home, it was really, really bad. So this abuse lasted for how long?
For a few years.
A few years.
Yes.
So, is it fair to say that at your first opportunity, you got out of the house?
Oh, yes, when I could. When I just about finished, finished high school and started college. And I thought, this is my opportunity. I've had enough. I just want to erase this family, erase who I am, who I was at the time. I didn't want anything to be linked to it, so I left home. And I said, as I leave today, everybody is completely dead.
Did you stop speaking to everyone in your family?
Everybody.
For how long you didn't speak to anyone?
Almost 20 years.
Really?
Yes.
You're serious, 20 years?
Yeah.
So for almost 20 years you didn't speak to who?
To my mother.
Your mom?
My two sisters that were younger than me. Anybody that was associated or close to that part of the family, I just...
How did you feel towards them?
Every day, it was just of death, wanting to kill everybody, thinking of ways I could just kill everyone in the one place. And I thought that would just get rid of everything that I felt inside, all the anger, all the hatred, everything.
Now, as you had all this hatred bottled up inside you and you left your house, you had this rise where you had the good jobs. You bought a house, right?
I was just about to.
You were about to buy a house.
Yes, I had chosen, it was out of the two that I loved, and I had chosen the one that I really wanted. And the paperwork was getting drawn up and everything was set in place.
How old were you when you were buying your house at that time?
I was in my mid-20s. Yeah,
So a dream come
late
true.
20s, yeah.
Because, I mean, buying a house is a major achievement,
Yeah.
right? So you were about to fulfill a dream, and then what happened?
And then one day I woke up, prepared to go to work. I looked at the news, and I just saw the mortgage company, one of the biggest at the time in England, that they had just crashed, gone into administration. Nobody knew overnight. And my whole world even got worse. Because, even at the time, I was suffering from other things. Like, a split personality. I was diagnosed with split personality. So all that was kind of keeping my mind occupied and making me think, okay, with this, everything's going to get better, the new step. But when I just woke up that day...
But does that mean that you lost the money you had there?
Everything.
Really?
Yes.
So all your life savings you lost?
Everything.
Overnight, just like that?
Overnight. And it didn't stop there. A few weeks, up to a month after that, the company that I was working for went into administration.
So you lost your job?
Yes. I lost
So all of a
great
sudden, you went from being at the top to losing everything?
Everything. Everything. And I thought, okay, because I was used to, fighting for things and getting it, but that's when you realize that everything, not just those things, but the things you relish, as in good friends, started disappearing. Everybody that I had helped when I was able to just started going silent. It was just, it was just amazing. It was like I was put in this room where there was nobody around, no friends to support, nobody to talk to, nothing at all.
So, I mean, at that point you lost everything and everyone. Who did you turn to, or what did you turn to?
I can't even say that I turned to anything, but I remember saying to myself, do you know what, if there's anyone out there, you need to help me because I can't take it. You need to, and at that point is when I got a phone call from a family member. I had a phone call, and that was the place I didn't want to be was the only choice or opportunity that was available to me at the time.
So when you had the money and the good job and about to buy the house, you had a lot of friends around you?
Oh yes, a lot.
And then what happened when you lost everything?
Everybody disappeared. Everybody, the ones that spoke to you every day on the phone, the one that visited you every time, every weekend, the ones that you have dinner parties at their place, they'll come to yours at dinner parties, the ones you plan to start other things, everybody went silent. It was like...
And that's what happens to many people. When things go wrong, you look around and the people you thought were there to support you, to help you, they're nowhere to be found. Now, you're going to hear the amazing story of Asha's new beginning, because your life changed, right? You came back on top again, and not only that, today your life is no longer a two-edged sword, right? You're going to tell us about that in a moment. And also, I want to show you something about new beginnings, an example that you're going to understand perfectly what new beginnings are. Stay where you are. We'll be right back.
So, maybe you're thinking about making some big changes or setting some ambitious goals for yourself. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds or read through the Bible. Maybe you want to run a marathon or repair a broken relationship. Whatever your big goal is, the temptation is to expect to go straight from here to here, or from here to here. The reality is, there are a lot of small steps between big decisions and big results. Challenges and obstacles await. At some point, you might even want to quit. But stand firm. Don't be disappointed with slow progress. Don't be overwhelmed by the destination. Rather, focus on what you can do today. Skip dessert. Read a chapter. Go for a run. Make a phone call. The more difficult the journey, the more rewarding the destination. And it can all start today with just one small step.
My lifestyle before coming to the church was quite a reckless one. I used to go out clubbing every night. I used to lie in bed most of the day. I wasn't working, and I hadn't worked for about 15 years. My lowest point was when I stood on the edge of King's Cross Underground Station, and I really wanted to jump in the underground because I was just feeling so low, so depressed. I've been free from this addiction, it must be about 16 years now. I don't go to clubs anymore, I'm not addicted anymore.
Welcome back. I want to give you an example of what new beginnings are. Think about the times that you've messed up, the times that you've made mistakes, the times that you thought of asking people for forgiveness. Do you remember those times? It's like your hands got dirty with all the mistakes you did, all the things you did. Imagine these hands you can see here. Let's get a shot of these hands. You see these hands are full of, dirt and sand and all kind of stuff. That's how you feel, perhaps. You feel exactly like this, full of dirt, full of, you've messed up, you've made mistakes, things have gone wrong, you regret decisions you've made, people you've hurt, and you want a new beginning. Let me show you what God does when you go to Him. This is what God does. Let's get a shot of the hands again. And God does this. He washes away all the dirt that's there in your hands. Everything that's there that you accumulated over the years, He washes it. And you become clean. You become free. And that's what He wants to do with you. This is exactly what He wants to do with you. He wants to change your situation. He wants to change your life. But for that to happen, you have to go to Him. All you need to do is to go to Him. Maybe you say, James, that's me. I feel like I need to be forgiven. I feel like I need people to forgive me. I feel like perhaps I haven't hurt anyone in the process of my bad decisions, but it's just that things keep going wrong and I don't know what to turn or who to turn to anymore. Like Asha was saying, who did you hurt when the bank collapsed, the mortgage lender collapsed? No one. But that hurt you. Who did you hurt when you have bad luck? Maybe no one. But that hurt you. Who did you hurt when your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriend cheated on you? You didn't hurt them, but maybe they hurt you. And maybe the truth is you need this new beginning. You need to start again. I want to invite you right now, this very moment. If you say, James, I need a new beginning. I need help. I need someone to pray for me. I need someone to tell me that it's going to be okay, that my life can change. Then give us a call now. 020-7686-6300. Our team are now ready to speak to you. 020-7686-6300. Or send us an email. help@findinganswers.tv. So let's go back to you, Asha. Now, you said when everybody left you, when all these so-called friends had abandoned you, right? Then you were left only with one choice that you didn't want to take, which was that phone call. Who called you?
My mother.
Your mom.
Yes.
The one that was on the top hated list.
Yes.
And you, is it fair to say you hated her?
Oh, hate was not the word. I absolutely loathed her, from her voice to her smell to looking at her.
During the 20 years you didn't speak to them, did you ever see her on the street?
Oh yeah.
And when you would see her, what would you do?
I walked past.
I
could see that look on her face when someone wants to say hello, and she would know. No, walk past completely, totally.
You didn't even say hello?
No, she was a stranger to me.
So you were cold?
Yeah, very.
So when she called you, at the time you lost everything, what did you do?
I don't think I spoke. All I said was hello, and I knew who it was. And I remember just sobbing. And then she was saying, look, I know where you can get help. I know where, and I still didn't want to hear that, even though I did. Mm-hmm. It was that, do I get help from you? Or, so she was saying, I know you can get help. And eventually, at that time I didn't. I waited a couple of days, even maybe up to a week after that initial phone call, to be brave and call back and say, okay, where is that? Where can I go?
Is that when she invited you to come to the church?
No, that's one of the times, yes.
Okay. Now, but let me ask you, how humbling was it for you to accept her offer for help?
I wanted the help, but I still wanted to kill her at the same time, so it was very hard.
So you were like the Black Widow. You wanted the help, but you wanted to kill her.
Yes.
Now, was that at the time you came to the church, around that time?
Well, I moved back in with her first, because I had nothing. I'd lost everything.
Were you living with her and still hating her?
Yes. I lived with her. Every opportunity I had, I'll make sure she goes out before I come out. I'll be in the room constantly, or I'll be the first one out of the house. I make sure that we did not interact, we did not speak. I'd come back at times where I knew she was asleep, and I didn't have to talk to her. I didn't have to say hello. I didn't have to say, how are you? I didn't have to go through pleasantries. I didn't want that, but I still needed her. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about when you decided to come to the church, and how was it to forgive your mom?
Okay, I decided at the time, even though I didn't want to speak to her, I saw the changes within her and my sisters. I saw how a different person she had become to how she was before. The relationship that she had with my sisters, the way she communicated, it was so different. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I have nothing to lose, because right now I believe in nothing. I was an atheist as well. I didn't believe in anything, but I said, let me just go to this place. When I went to the church, I actually found it myself. And the day that I went, I kind of asked her, I said, where is this church that you go to? And she was kind of shocked. She was thrown back. And she knew not to talk more, just to give me the simple address of what I asked, not to go further, because that will push me back. And I found the place. I went in. I remember I always wore a cap because I didn't want anyone to look at my eyes. I wore a cap, and the service was about to start, and I remember sitting at the back with his cap low and listened to everything that was said. At the time, I was listening, but I wasn't really listening. But in the time that I wasn't not really listening, it's like what was said in that service was for me. Though I felt glad about that, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in a place that they can help me. This church, I was still angry because I thought my mother had gone and told my whole problems to the whole world.
So you thought that what was being said is like was all about you, you thought that your mom had told your problems to the pastor.
Yes.
Tell me something. How long did it take you for you to forgive your mom, and how hard was it?
It didn't take long, but it was extremely hard. When I realized, when I was taught in the church how to not only be practical with what I was listening to and take action, not just sitting there and think, okay, help me, but take action, it was so hard. And I remember the day that I decided, you know what, I want to be a part of this. I don't want to feel how I feel anymore. How can I look at her and not call her mum? I used to just call her mother. How can I look at her and see other people close to their mum, hug them, and I don't want to do that to mine. So it took a while. I practiced. I actually practiced in the mirror. I said, no, I have to do this. I remember the day that I went to apologize. I said, I don't know what I'm going to apologize for, but I'm going to apologize for something. I cried for about 2 hours in the room. My eyes was bulging red. She was in the living room. I went, I sat down, I said, look, I don't know what I'm apologizing for, but I am sorry if I've hurt you, if I've made you feel like you weren't good enough as a mother for what I've put you through, the words that I said. And then she started crying. And then she turned around and apologized, and I started crying. And I think that was the first moment or instant that I actually believed something that came out of her mouth. And in that instance, I slightly opened up to her, as in, her voice was no longer annoying at that point. It didn't feel like someone scratching the board.
Up until that moment, if you heard her voice, you said it would feel like someone scratching a board.
Yes. If I smelt her, I wanted to vomit. And
really?
Yeah. I really...
So it was very bad.
Everything, yeah. Very.
So I want to ask you something, because we're running out of time. How is your relationship with your whole family, and how is your career now? Because when we went for the break, you said you lost your house and you lost your job. Yes. The company where you were working for went under. How is your family and how is your career now?
My family is amazing. I call her mum, and I enjoy that word. I hug her daily.
How does her voice sound?
Beautiful. Beautiful, high-pitched, but beautiful. And the things that the change has been so, I don't know how to call it, that even people do not realize. Every time I say to her that I say to people, oh, I had this relationship with my mum in the past. They can't believe it because of how we are now, how we're so close, how there's real love between mother and daughter, between me and my sisters. And my career is amazing. I started my own business.
Good.
So I'm very happy. And it's getting better. It is. I just recently, I had a degree paid for me by a company that I work for, because I was working for National Careers, and they paid within 3 months, and usually they wait like a year before they see how good you are. And yes, I'm fully qualified in that.
So your life has had a total U-turn.
Total U-turn.
It's a completely different direction to what it used to be before.
Yes.
Do you regret forgiving your family?
No, because the things that, though I was holding regret, they had moved on, which makes things more painful when you're holding on to things in the past. And like you said before, we use the past to learn for the present, to move for the future. But the problem with a lot of people, and which I had, is that we hold on to the past, which makes our present painful and which makes the future seem dark.
And also the important thing is that, some people would say, well, how would you ask for forgiveness if you had apparently nothing to ask for forgiveness for, even though you had, because, holding that hatred for all those years made you an offender against your family as well. So you paid back in the same way, which made you almost as guilty as your family for having hurt you. So that was an important step, and that shows that there's no point for people to hold on to resentments, to hatred, because your life is passing you by, and you're missing out on being together with people who maybe have hurt you, but maybe love you as well, because everybody makes mistakes. But you are living proof that people can make new beginnings.
Oh yes, because I always say, when you forgive others, you're kind of forgiving yourself also, because there's times when you're in that situation, you hate yourself for being like that. So once you forgive someone, essentially you are forgiving yourself for your mistakes also. It's fantastic, I'm telling you. grudge is just
That's
too
amazing.
heavy.
Thank you very much for being on the program.
Thank
okay,
you for
Asha?
having me.
And after the program, I'm going to be talking to Pastor Abraham about this issue, about how difficult is it for you to make a new beginning, but it's possible. And also we'll be speaking about if it's harder, if it's more difficult to be a man or being a woman nowadays. Is it harder being a man or being a woman, Asha?
I can't say. I think it's been great being myself, but I'm good. And I'm sure it's hard.
Don't dodge the question. Is it harder being a man or being a woman?
I think at times it can be hard for both. We have to equally say that, but yeah, I think we have a lot to do
You're
with
just
women.
being politically correct.
Oh, I have to be.
We're going to be talking about that after the break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Now, I want to draw your attention for a special program that we will have this Wednesday, where we will be talking about if it's harder being a man or a woman nowadays. Now, we know that women have come a very, very long way. You know, if you go back a few years, there were a lot of things that women couldn't do and wouldn't be considered to do. Nowadays, thankfully, things are very, very different. Now, has that made things better for women or worse? What about men? Do men have it easier? Is it easier that they, sometimes don't have the responsibilities that a woman has? Do they have more responsibilities? We will have two people on the program here on Wednesday. a very successful woman and a very successful man, and we'll be hearing not only their life transformation stories, because both of them attend the church and have had their lives transformed tremendously through the power of prayer, but you'll also hear how they cope with families, with their careers, as they are successful in their own right. So don't miss this Wednesday's program. Now, going back to this topic of new beginnings, I have Abraham here, Pastor Abraham, with me. How are you, Pastor Abraham?
Very well, thanks.
Pastor Abraham, I mean, we receive new people, first-timers, through the doors of our churches nationwide every day. And I notice that one of the most difficult things for some people to do is to forgive themselves for the mistakes that they make. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, I would agree because, especially because when people are judged by their past, unfortunately, we do have stories of very, very successful people. They did a lot of good things, but in certain points in their lives, they made a mistakes. And unfortunately, they are always remembered by the mistakes they made. Mm-hmm. And this, of course, is very hard for the person who made a mistake in the past, as long as they keep on looking or considering the opinion of others. But the good thing is that God does not regard our past. Mm-hmm. God will always regard our present. So, in one hand, we have men who regards your past, who will be judging you by your past, or maybe you even judge yourself by your past. But in the other hand, we have God who regards your present, your decision right now. For example, James, you're just giving a fantastic example here when we just showed the hands when the hands were very dirty, and we used water to wash their hands. So this is exactly what happened when people walk into our church. Mm-hmm. People from different backgrounds, people who commit a lot of mistakes, but they come and God gives them a new opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And, we have the other side of new beginnings. The first side is like we were talking now, people who need to be forgiven and sometimes can't even forgive themselves. Now, on the other hand, we have people who, of course, everybody makes mistakes, and one would argue that everybody needs to be forgiven, and that's true. But sometimes the new beginning is not the problem of being forgiven. It's the problem that the person, no matter how hard they try, it's like, in the cartoons when there's sunshine everywhere apart from over the person's head. There's like a little dark cloud raining wherever the person goes, and everyone is in the sunshine and that person is always in the rain. And that's how some people feel. They feel like if they try to open a business once, twice, 3 times, it fails. If they try a relationship, it fails. If they try to look after their health and get healthier, everything fails. So sometimes, that water that we were talking about is removing the evil, the negativity that is there in the person's life, because chances are that there is a negative force, an evil force they're holding them back, and they need to be set free.
Yeah, it is the old story. Now, if it happens once, maybe life, it happens twice, might be coincidence, but 3 times, 4 times, you better get help urgently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's like the situation we were giving here recently of someone very famous that, and let's not even go to that example. We had an actress that died a couple of years ago, Elizabeth Taylor, who got married I don't know how many times. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say a number because I don't want to be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was, I think, something like over 5-6 times. I don't know if Victoria can check that for us now, for us not to give false information. But certainly, if you get married 6 times, it could be that you're doing something wrong. You need to change something because you must be doing something wrong, right? Or in some cases, the person, this keeps happening, this bad stuff keeps happening because of bad luck, because of a negativity that is there. And the strong prayer we make in the church can help the person to be free.
Yeah, then comes the spiritual help. Is what you'll never be able to have by being there at home, just watching this program. That's why it's important you just give us a call now and speak to someone, and for sure there will be someone who will be helping you.
So Victoria just told me that Elizabeth Taylor's been married 8 times, but she married one of those, 2 of those marriages were to the same man. So she divorced, then years later she remarried the same man. Okay, and that's just a little bit of trivia to add to the examples we gave. Now the thing is, we want to join our faith on your behalf to help you be free from your problems. Now, when we unite our faith, the Bible says 2 are better than 1. Because try carrying a heavy load by yourself. It's hard. Now, if you share that problem with somebody else, it becomes a lot lighter. And that's what happens when you unite your faith with a person who wants your help, who wants to help you, who wants to support you. And I want to do that right now. In fact, tonight's prayer will be made by Pastor Abraham. Asha will be joining us in the prayer as well. And I believe that you who are looking for this new beginning, God can certainly help you to do that. In the meantime, our team are still ready to take your calls if you would like to speak to our team. And if you want support, help, then the number to call is 020-7686-6300 or send us an email to help@findinganswers.tv. Let's talk to God now during the prayer.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like a prayer concerning your financial life, send your name and prayer request to prayer@findinganswers.tv.
Our Lord and our Father, it's in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, that we enter your presence. And we intercede on the behalf of this person who is watching this program. This person, my Father, who has to start all over again, but she does not know how. There's no strength in her. And she feels herself heavy, she feels herself weak. She is completely lost and confused. But my Father, I know that you are the light. As you said in your word that you make everything new, my God. So stretch out your almighty hand to touch, to remove all negativities, all sadness, all confusion, desperation from this person who is watching this program in this very moment. From this woman, my Father, who just lost her husband, or she does not know how to restart her life all over again. Or this man as well, my Father, regardless the problem, the situation. So I know you can, and you can make a new beginning starting from right now. If this person decides to turn to you, so turn to her right now, my God, and remove all the negativities, remove all worries, all pains, whatsoever has been blocking and impeding the life of this person to move on. My God, we bless this water. We consecrate it with your power. And we know that to start all over again will never be easy. But we have absolutely sure that by drinking this water, this person will receive strength, will receive power to start all over again, but this time to start in the right way. In Jesus' name, you may drink right now this water the way you are and be free, be empowered by God.
If you didn't have the opportunity to prepare the water and have it blessed tonight, we do this every single Finding Answers program from Monday to Friday. Make sure you join us tomorrow. Have your glass of water prepared already from the beginning, and we're going to bless it for you to drink it together with your family. If you want, you can have a bottle of water, bless it, and you can keep it there for your family to drink as well. Okay? It's been a pleasure to be with you, and we hope that tonight's program has helped you to make a new beginning. We'll be back with you again tomorrow. Until then, have a wonderful night. May God bless you.
God bless you.